What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. Let me just mention that I'm not a financial planner. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. Just note that when it comes to the way the market's moving, the market is attempting to rebound right now during the pre-market session. That's despite some negative data that came out. So there's this news that came out that the Fed is confronting up to 1 million US jobs just vanishing in the revision. And this is very, very important because the news is coming out that the US job growth in the year through March was actually likely far less robust than initially estimated. And this is not the best of news. What's basically happening is Goldman Sachs and Wells Fargo economists expect the government's preliminary benchmark revisions on Wednesday to show payrolls growth in the year through March was at least about 600,000 weaker than the current estimations, and that's about 50,000 per month. Whereas JP Morgan Chase is seeing a decline of about 360,000. Goldman Sachs is saying about as much as 1 million. So this is very important news. Right now, there's some fear that when it comes to the way that numbers were estimated, the numbers didn't really come out as we're being told. So stat is going to be coming out at 10 o'clock a.m. This news just came out right now that there's going to be a revision for the jobs numbers, and I think this is going to cause some volatility at 10 a.m. So we'll see if this leads to a little bit of a bounce or not, if the market gets a rug pull. So you want to be very careful with this data release. And then that's the first one. So this, just came out. And we also have at 2 p.m. the FOMC minutes. So we have two main pieces of data. Once again, the jobs revisions data at 10 o'clock a.m. This is not the best in terms of projections so far. So we'll see what this leads to for the markets. And we also happen to have the FOMC minutes. So we'll see what happens with all this data. Look for volatility at 10 a.m. once the job revisions data comes out. And then at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the minutes. We'll see what that leads to. Now, for earnings, we had Target and Macy's announce their earnings. Target did relatively well, beating on EPS and revenue. You guys can see the numbers right here. And they had some good guidance overall. So they ended up increasing their forecasts. That's why the share price is up. But then for Macy's, they ended up cutting their forecasts. Unfortunately, it's the opposite, and they ended up missing on revenue but beating on EPS. So Macy's didn't had mixed earnings but bad guidance. That's why the share price is down. Target did the opposite. They had good earnings and good guidance. That's why the share price is up for Target. Anyways, let's talk about the market. So right now we're trying to push as we're approaching this 560 resistance on SPY. But there is an issue right here. I do want to say I'm a little bit concerned about this because if we break 560, yes, we could be pushing for the high towards 560.8. And if that breaks, we'll be looking for 562 as resistance. If we reject off 560, we could be tipping back down to 558. And if that fails us, we're going back down to 556. As of right now, we're just range bound. So I'll be watching to see the resistance at 560. But just notes that the data comes out at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll see if this leads to a dip in the projections for employment. With this data coming out, this might cause a very, very big move. So just get ready for that. And then we'll see what this leads to. So I'm going to be very, very careful with this. It is possible we push a little higher to test 560, and we'll see if we get a rejection or not. Once again, the jobs numbers may cause some high volatility, so get ready for that. So get ready for a big move at 10 o'clock a.m. Nvidia is trying to push, look at 128 as resistance, followed by this 130 area above that. Look at support at 126.5, then 124.7, and then even lower levels. I think we may push a little bit higher towards this 128 area right over here. And then it's possible we go a little bit higher, but then watch and see what kind of reaction we get at 10 o'clock a.m. once the jobs numbers come out. If we continue to push, we'll go up to 130. If not, people will reject. For now, look for a little push on Nvidia and then see what the reaction is. We have to just wait and see on that. For Bitcoin, we're trying to rebound just a bit right now. We could retest 59,700, but watch to see if we get that rejection. It depends on the numbers. For Tesla, we're looking at 222 as our resistance. It is possible we go a little bit higher on Tesla. I could see us attempts to get back up to 223, but the issue is, will we establish a lower high compared to this high and continue to dip? We still have a possible cup and handle like structure that's developing. So I'm going to be watching to see if this ends up developing for Tesla or not. So I'll be watching it just like this. Still kind of resembles a cup and handle. And I don't think that we're necessarily in the clear quite yet. We'll have to wait for the jobs numbers at 10 o'clock a.m. And then for the QQQ, we also have this resistance to watch for around 482, 481.25, then 482. I'll be watching to see if we get a rejection or not. If we lose 479, look for a bit of a dip. We're at resistance, so give this some time. We could be establishing a lower high to continue a move lower. So I wouldn't necessarily say I'm convinced that the market's bouncing yet. So be careful at resistance. Apple stuck between 227 and 226. If we lose 226, look for a dip for 224. And if 227 breaks, look for a bounce. We're kind of stuck in the middle, so give it some time. For the IWM, we're also kind of stuck right here. Look at 214 as our resistance. If that breaks, we're going back up to 215. If we reject here, we could be tipping back down to fill the gap to 212. We're kind of stuck in the middle. So I'm going to give this some time. This could be a slanted head and shoulders that's forming if we do get rejection. So I'm going to be very patient with this. We'll see what kind of reaction we get once the jobs numbers are out. And then for Amazon's pushing right now. It's looking more bullish. If we hold above 180, we could fill the gap. And we could push all the way up to about 184 if we hold above 180. If we lose 180, we're going down to 178. But we look more bullish on Amazon. On Meta, I'm a little concerned about this head and shoulders. I wouldn't necessarily say we're bullish or bearish quite yet. We're kind of range bound between 524 and 530. But just know there's a possible head and shoulders. And if we lose 524, it's going to be a dip coming to at least the 518 area. So we'll see if the head and shoulders plays out or not. So watch for that. For Microsoft, we're trying to push, but look at resistance at 425. If that breaks, we're going to be pushing for 427.5. If that rejects, we'll be tipping back down towards 422. So give it some time. For Google, we're kind of dipping here. Look at 166 as support. I think we might be dipping to 166, and we'll see if we bounce or not. But just be very careful with that. So I just wanted to call that out. Anyways, as far as the market goes, guys, be careful. We could be establishing a lower high. If we're bullish, SPY breaks 516, continues to pump. If not, we could reject, especially if we have a gap below to fill. I'm warning you to be careful because the jobs numbers come out, the annual payrolls revision data, and it's expected to not be too good. So we'll see what kind of reaction we get at 10 o'clock a.m. And once again, with data being released, you want to be very, very patient with the way things are moving. So that's the first piece of data for today. It turns out this data is now going to be coming out. And then at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the FOMC minutes. That's going to cause another big move. So it's going to be a pretty significant day. We have two big pieces of data in one day. So we'll see what this leads to. Once again, we're not looking at the best of projections right now. Most of these banks are expecting some pretty bad numbers for the jobs report. So we'll see if this leads to a big move in the markets, some kind of rejection or not. I'm going to be unbiased and just give it the time it needs, and we'll see how things go. With that being said, I'll see you guys in a couple of hours for another update. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys in maybe another hour and a half to 2 hours. And then until then, have a great day and peace out.